However, with the ideas of nationalism being prominent in places like Italy and the Habsburg Empire, Napoleon almost seeing himself as a reincarnation of the great days of Rome. Oh, I'm sorry, this must be my DBQ. Let me find my speech real quick. Oh, here we go. Gratitude is the backbone of success, of happiness. Without gratitude, the vice of vanity finds its way into one's heart. And so I'd like to take a moment to thank all those who have helped guide me to where I am today, because we all, myself included, should remember that we are the product not only of our own decisions, but of the environment and the people that have shaped our lives. Mom and Dad, thank you so much for all the sacrifices you have made for me, for working so hard to provide a sanctuary of well-being and safety. And my brother Charlie, thank you for being such a great role model for me, paving a pathway that I could and can still clearly see. Thank you to my grandma Toth, whose personality and witty nature I admire so much, and thank you to all of my family, the strong roots from which I stem. Thank you to all the teachers and faculty who have been preparing us not only for this moment, but for a prosperous future in which we ourselves can teach others that carry on after us. Thank you to Paul for the wonderful introduction, and all my friends, and to all those who have helped shape me into what I am today. Mr. Walter, thank you for being an outstanding role model and illustration of the fruits of dedication, hard work, and humility, and I thank you to all those in the MASH Fine Arts Department who have allowed me to pursue the creation of music and theater that I enjoy so much. From here, I could talk about the difficulties of freshman year, the passing days of sophomore, the rebel days of junior, and the lazy days of senior, where we stereotypically catch a nasty bit of senioritis. But seemingly no hackneyed view of high school can compare to the history we find ourselves in today. And that's quite the paradox, isn't it? And thank you to Ms. Schilling for making us study those literary terms so that I could use paradox correctly. But we're seeing how much our world has changed around us, and yet it can take years to change a habit of our own. Trust me, try changing from Benedictine to Carmelite, and not even God will allow it. That was a Catholic joke. For those of you who didn't get it, don't worry, I've provided my own laugh track. Since most of you are not here, I will be using this quite extensively, and I'll just be assuming that you're laughing at home. This is really my stand-up debut, but with a little help. But in all seriousness, could you imagine a stand-up artist just using a laugh track? That would be worse than The Big Bang Theory, and that's saying something. I'm sorry, Mr. Meehook, but I had to make that joke. Don't worry, I still miss fun Fridays when we would get to hear Sheldon's iconic bazinga with our favorite teacher. And it appears at this moment, well, I'll just illustrate what's happening since most of you can't be here, the teachers in the audience are lining up what seems to be rebel factions against Mr. Meehook because I declared him as our favorite teacher. No, I'm just kidding. That will be happening on Zoom now. Anyway, to clear things up, students can't have favorite teachers. You're all just so good. But teachers can, of course, have favorite students. Otherwise, I wouldn't be up here. Thank you. But for real this time, it's quite profound and quite frightening that we find ourselves in these times. Instead of getting into the bitterness of it all, I'd like to provide a message of hope in the form of a story. There once was a curious little animal named George. George was a raccoon. Anyway, curious George the raccoon was swinging from tree to tree, and he noticed that the leaves were beginning to change color. He asked a man with a red hat, "Why do the leaves change, and why do some of them begin to fall?" The man with the blue hat said, "The leaves change color and they begin to fall because the sun shines less and less each day." "Why does the sun shine less?" Curious George the raccoon asked. The man said, "Because challenging times are ahead, and the night of winter scares off the shine of the sun." Curious George the raccoon asked, "Then why do the leaves decide to grow in the spring anyway, if they know the winter is coming?" "Because winter brings them back stronger than ever to conquer the scorching sun of summer," the man said. Just like the leaves that Curious George the raccoon was so inquisitive about, we too are the leaves discovering a new summer, charting a new winter, all the while branching out from the tree that has held us for so long. But we don't have to leave this tree, the embodiment of our childhood, the foundation of our success. Rather, we can branch out ever further to new heights and put ourselves at the hand of winter to grow ever stronger. And aren't we glad that the tree has multiple branches, where we are able to pursue our own desires and our own interest? I encourage you to do so, to go out and conquer your own destiny, because our world is built on a diversity of pursued interests and talents, and every one of you is too precious to waste. Where the analogy splits is right there. While leaves are raked up and thrown away to be forgotten, each one of us continues to grow and grow, defining a history and legacy of our own and of the world as a whole. We are finding ways to remember the history we are making in the moment. Before our very eyes, a new era, an era of digital communication, replacing the in-person connections and intimacy for the time being, has closed many opportunities, but has also ushered in new ones. A new era of problem solving, a new era of creativity, a new era of change, an aphora, and a syndeton. Thank you, Ms. Schilling. For those of you unaware, that was an English joke. But back to the point. Many of us might see this change as a terrible thing, as the life of humanity has been molded and refined by the potter's wheel of companionship. But we must remember that there was a time before the potter's wheel, and like that time before our brain proved more effective than our brawn, we too can find the strength to guide ourselves and our kin to a glorious future that holds a plethora of riches founded on our dedication to fellowship. A fellowship relacquered in the bronze of an eventual in-person connection with each other, but also by the problems we have solved in our isolated digital world. Class of 2020, while the world may be on hold, your will is not. Get out there, metaphorically, be thankful, and make history. By the way, I should get an A+ on this speech because I worked longer on it than Josu did on his. Thank you.